With 300 hours of video being uploaded onto YouTube every minute, it's impossible to keep up with them all. And it's very easy for some of the best videos to go completely unnoticed. Today I'm here to make sure that you don't miss out on any of those gems. So I've compiled a collection of some of the internet's greatest and most shocking videos, some of which you probably wouldn't believe had they not been caught on camera. Let's get it on! Every now and again, you see someone execute something in a way that makes it clear they've gone to extreme lengths to master their craft. Practice makes perfect, but we're surprised there were enough hours in this girl's life for her to get this good at rollerblading. It's almost a shame it's not an Olympic sport because she's so good she could walk in and win gold without a warm-up. But skill aside, most of us could only dream of having ankles as strong and as flexible as hers. We'd be on the ground before we get past the first cone. No matter what anyone says, snowboarding is a lot harder than what most people think. It requires an enormous amount of coordination, balance, and control, even in its most basic form. So we can't begin to imagine how much skill it takes to master the sport the way this guy has. At those speeds, this kind of agility is truly incredible, and he makes it look like a walk in the park. I don't know how he can flip completely upside down with a board strapped to his feet, but he sure does make it look easy. If only we were all as agile as he is in the snow. It should come as no surprise that there are some bizarre world records out there, but some really do seem too crazy to be true. This is definitely one of those that you would never believe actually happened if they hadn't filmed it. These Peruvian men hold the Guinness World Record for most consecutive stairs climbed while balancing a person on the head. It's insane and should be impossible, yet somehow they managed to do it. How many steps was it, I hear you ask? A whopping 97, which sounds like more than most of us could manage without a person on our head with our terrible binge-watching habits. These guys really know how to put on an impressive show. If there's a skill to be mastered, you can bet there's someone in the world that can do it better than most people. That special combination of practice and raw talent combine, and suddenly you have someone who can do incredible things like this girl. She mastered the use of freeline skates beyond what many of us would believe was possible. Let's face it, it's always impressive to see someone control an inanimate object so well that they don't have to touch it, but it's even more impressive when they're doing that with an object that would cause broken ankles for most of us. She makes it look so effortless. It really does need to be seen to be believed. We all know a bicycle is a good tool for tricks, and you can do all kinds of things on it. One-handed bike riding, one-foot pedaling, maybe even no hands for a while. No hands and no feet? Maybe.
I meant to do that.
How about only one wheel? Well, as we've seen a lot in this video, you should never say never. This guy is here to prove all the naysayers wrong. You can ride a bike with only one wheel, and you can do it with more style than you would ever have imagined possible. That is, if he hadn't filmed it. This is up there with the most impressive stunts we've seen on a bike. We've all dreamt of getting our hands on something as cool as a hovercraft or jetpack, but those are the things of sci-fi movies and dreams, right? Or not. Technology is advancing really fast. So fast, we're actually catching up with fiction. This incredible video shows two men flying alongside the largest passenger jet aircraft in the world. You heard that right, as in outside the plane, with jetpacks that were effective enough to allow them to keep up with the huge plane. This is almost certainly something none of us expected to see in our lifetime, and I, for one, am glad they captured it on camera, because I really want to know that this was a thing that actually happened. Fireworks have survived as a form of celebratory entertainment for over 1,000 years, and it's easy to see why. But there's a new show in town, and fireworks might suddenly become a thing of the past. So what could be so spectacular that it could outdo fireworks? Drones. Drone light shows have been popping up all over the world. The bright colors and elaborate flying formations have a special ability to captivate audiences. Imagine seeing this breathtaking sight appear above your city. The surprisingly perfect displays seem to be getting more and more elaborate as more and more people master the art form, so we're pretty sure this is about to get interesting. We just hope they're all filmed, because their precision and beauty is pretty difficult to believe. You've probably seen more skipping rope games being played by kids rather than adults, but that doesn't mean it can't be mastered to some mind-blowing levels. It's an actual sport, and like any other, some people are better at it than you could ever have imagined. Swing two ropes around him, and this guy can move his feet almost faster than your eyes can see. Most of us would end up tangled in those ropes like an animal in a net, but not him. In this case, the best reason to catch it on camera is to slow down the video in the hopes maybe seeing what's actually going on. Either way, it's definitely more impressive than any little kid. Scooters are a favorite among kids, but give them someone older and you've got an extreme sport. Like skateboarding, it takes skill and could get pretty dangerous, but there's the added risk of a large metal pole attached to the board. Even with that, some people take the sport to new heights and do things that are absolutely incredible. This guy seems to be doing things with his scooter that don't actually seem possible. But despite the cool things he's proving can be done, you wouldn't catch me doing a full backflip while holding one of those. Rainy days are notoriously boring. You're stuck indoors with nothing to do, or you're forced to go out into the cold, something most of us are desperate to avoid. We call dread having to pick up an umbrella, but some people see opportunity in everything. Just imagine seeing someone performing a real-world magic trick like this while walking along a dreary, drizzly day. He clearly set out to dazzle people in a small way with his umbrella mastery, and he completely pulled it off in a way that most of us could only wish to see in real life. There are some things in this world that are just so obvious, you don't even need to know them. Like dogs bark, plants need water, and you have to have 2 legs to skateboard. Luckily, for everything you know, there's someone out there in the world doing everything they can to prove your obvious fact wrong, no matter how impossible their skill is. This guy proves in style that you can do anything you set your mind to, even skateboarding without any legs. And he's really, really good at it. He's better than most skateboarders with 2 legs could ever hope to be, and he proved that when he won the X Games Adaptive Gold in his sport. I guess some people are just way more impressive than others. Trucks carrying heavy loads is nothing new. That's what they're made for. But that's not what people are made for, and some truck drivers can't quite get the hang of handling their large cargo. This guy needed about a decade more training before he set off on the road. But of course, when you're driving something that big, if you make one mistake, it's usually someone else who suffers. This poor little car was no match for the giant it came face to face with. It just had to go with it and hope for the best as its owners escaped and left it to defend itself. It's definitely going to feel that in the morning. We've all probably wished we had Spider-Man's powers at one point in our lives. However, sadly, that's a skill reserved for insects and geckos, not one that mammals have mastered. Or so we thought. These wild ibex goats are here to prove us wrong. They can climb rocky slopes with more than a 60-degree angle, including babies which are just days old. And they don't just climb, they walk, run, and jump up and along the slopes like it's no big deal. Their secret is in their amazing pincer-like hooves. They can pull themselves up an incline with just 1 foot, so maybe opposable thumbs aren't as great as we like to think. Falling asleep at the wheel is one of those things that all drivers dread. It's a terrifying situation. Just a few seconds could spell disaster for you and maybe others as well. You definitely want to be attentive at all times on the road because things go wrong in the blink of an eye. Well, that's true if you're anyone but this guy. He was caught on video fast asleep in his Tesla in the middle of traffic. The autopilot isn't supposed to work if you don't have your hands on the wheel, but he's wedged his limp hand into the wheel to trick the car into letting him snooze. You could write it off as a one-off mistake, but a month later, someone spotted him doing exactly the same thing again. Luckily, both of them caught it on camera. Otherwise, nobody would believe someone could be that reckless. Some sports out there strike fear into the hearts of the bravest people. Wingsuiting and base jumping are definitely 2 sports on that list, being infamously life-threatening. So you can only imagine the level of danger you enter into when you combine the 2. Still not terrifying enough? Try adding a moving plane into the mix. That's exactly what these men did. They jumped off the edge of a mountain peak more than 13,000 feet high with nothing to protect them but their wingsuits. For most, that would have been more than enough risk, but they floated through the air and unbelievably through the door of a plane which was in mid-flight. Not only did neither of them hurt themselves, which seems impossible, they pulled it off amazingly elegantly. Luckily, the cameras caught it, or they would have spent the rest of their lives trying to convince the rest of the world that they actually did that. Firefighting is unsurprisingly seriously dangerous. Any job that requires you to run into a fire is going to mean you're risking your life on an average day. But their own lives aren't the only thing that firefighters worry about. If they're just a few seconds too slow, it could mean death for someone they're trying to save. These Croatian firefighters prove just how fast you have to be to ensure everyone's safety. The alarm goes, and they're up, dressed, and in their trucks in moments. And just to prove the kind of sacrifices these guys make, they didn't even wait around to see their country score a goal in a World Cup qualifier. If any proof was needed, this video truly shows that firefighters are amazing people. Psst, hey, you still there? Well, since you made it this far, here are all the shoutouts we promised everyone that commented on our previous video. If you want to be shouted out in our next upcoming video as well as the ones prior, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel and leave a comment down below saying, "Pick me." Once you're at it, you might as well leave a like too.